Opponent makes a great catch, catching the surf on a lowland Ninetales. Well, guess what? Your brother from another mother, Shadow K9 or Kanto Ninetales, is about to fucking feast. We fire off the weather ball. The opponent commits their final shield. This will not KO. You can throw whatever the fuck you like. We tank the side shot. We commit to the fire spin, farm down. Back out comes a healthy Cresselia. Is overheat going to be enough to knock out? Well, you're going to have to watch the video to find out. So today I have the absolute pleasure of shoutcasting my faction's teammate. Shout out Homeslicehomies. We are getting promoted. You fucking love to see it. But JasH has submitted some Shadow Kanto Ninetales battles. This is a Pokemon that I've been looking to build, but I'm unable to. JasH is a phenomenal battler. He's reached legend multiple times. He's also been on the leaderboards multiple times. And before anyone says it, he has not cheated to obtain this Pokemon. He's a hardcore grinder and he's caught over 300,000 Pokemon. So don't post none of that nonsense in the comment section. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, we see Trevadent in the lead. The opponent attempts to catch the weather ball on Swampert JasH, who's already legend this season. Far too smart for that. We answer with Lapras. Lapras fires off the Surf. Shadow on Shadow action. Surf does big damage. The opponent doesn't throw at the best timing. We are going to shield up a potential Earthquake, and JasH makes the correct call. We now commit to the Ice Shard farm down, but not before the opponent makes one more charge move, just a Hydro Cannon. Lapras really doesn't care. Far too bulky, far too thick. The opponent comes in to Registeel. We did throw the Ice Beam. However, Lapras is going to outpace to another Surf, and the opponent is going to have to throw to take us out. You can see JasH is running double Legacy, Ice Shard, Ice Beam, Shadow, Lapras. The opponent is farming up a boatload of energy. You can also see why they stayed in the opening matchup. They are ABA weak to fire. Far too many people not respecting the fire typing, but now Ninetales is about to feast. We overfarm, we fire off the weather ball. Weather ball draws a shield from the tin can. They fire off a charge move. We still have a shield. We are going to shield up the Focus Blast. We are almost at the back-to-back weather balls. The opponent fires the Shadow Ball. K9, far too thick. We bank all of that energy, come in with our Shadow. Dragon Breath Gary. We are going to fire off the Aqua Tail. The opponent far too low. They have no choice but to commit the final Protect Shield. They are looking to get to the back-to-back charge moves. They aren't quite there. The opponent is going to have to Shadow Ball to take us out. Ninetales has the move locked and loaded. It's going to be Night. Sleep tight, Trevadent. Back out. When the Registeel returns, it's going to be one Fire Spin to the next Weather Ball, and Ninetales closes game one in style. GG's and thanks for playing. The opponent absolutely core broken by fire, and we have one of the spammiest fire Pokemon you can have. Moving on to the next battle, we pick up another person with no respect to fire. They switch out into Obstagoon. JasH staying in to get off some fire spin damage. I wonder if he pivots to Gyarados. We're building up a boatload of energy, and stay in school kids learn to count absolutely beautifully, catching the Night Slash on Gyarados. Gyarados not the bulkiest. However, it is going to take 3 Night Slashes or a shit ton of resisted counters to take us out. JasH knows he tanks the next one, even if Obstagoon chooses to commit a Protect Shield. That will not be enough to flip this matchup. They are going to have to put all shields down, and that looks like that is the play the opponent is going for. They are looking to counter down Gary, but his flying typing says, I fucking don't think so. The opponent is now all shields down. Back in comes the loaded Ninetales. We win. Charge move priority, down goes Obstagoon. With all that energy, it's Swampert. In the back, we come in to Lapras and Venusaur. Do you know about this Shadow Legacy Ice Beam? Well, if they don't know, you're about to find out. We shield up the Frenzy Plant. JasH over farms by one, fires off the Ice Beam, and Ice Beam is going to one-shot this Venusaur. Back out comes the Swampert. Swampert is going to need to land an Earthquake to take us out. This is a pretty safe shield. The opponent actually is on Sludge Wave. Holy smokes, I was not expecting that. JasH is going for the 2 Surfs. The first Surf gets Swampert low, and they concede the match. GG's and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle, we see a Charmer in the lead. Ninetales fire typing does resist Fairy. The opponent is staying in. JasH is building up a boatload of energy. We've got enough for the overheat. Does Togekiss respect the damage? The opponent calls the bait, but we're at the back-to-back Weather Balls. Is this Weather Ball going to be enough to knock out Togekiss? Yes, it is. Down goes Togekiss. They now come in to Gary. We answer with Lapras, and they have Heracross in the back. Holy smokes, Heracross isn't going to want any of that Ninetales action. We fire off the Surf. The opponent doesn't shield. They are building up a whole load of energy. Great counting from the opponent. They fire off the Rock Blast just before we make the next charge move, but Rock Blast, a garbage move, doesn't KO Lapras, makes the next surf. This draws a shield. From Heracross we come in, look to Fire Spin down, we are unable to do so. Jazz knows there's no point in shielding this up, as a 2-to-1 shield advantage Gyarados is going to be enough to clean up this battle. We Dragon Breath, farm down the opponent. Back out comes the Legacy Dragon Tail Gary. You love to see that as well. We shield up the crunch. The opponent doesn't get the debuff and they concede the match. GG's and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle, see Cresselia in the lead if the opponent isn't on Future Sight. This is a fantastic matchup for Ninetales. Jazz not shielding the first move. I believe this was just actually 7. The opponent does fire the Moonblast as soon as they get it. Not the best play trainer, at least bait the charge move. Even if you haven't get it, we fire off a Weather Ball. Weather Ball does some decent chip damage. We are now going straight for the Hail Mary. Holy smokes, this is a healthy Cresselia. Is overheat enough to one-shot? No, it's not, but my god, did that do some big damage. Jazz is not shielding this up. They go for another Moonblast. We commit to the Fire Spin farm down, and we have maintained the correct alignment that we want. The opponent brings in Swampert. We bring out Lapras, and it is Escavalier in the back. Another team, ABA weak to Fire. Holy crap, Fire gets no respect in the Ultra League. Jazz immediately clicks no shield, knowing that Gyarados is going to clean up this battle. The opponent goes for a drill run. I've got no idea if he didn't bubble it or we got the third shield, but either way, this game will be over. We fire off the next surf. The opponent does shield it up. If they don't throw a charge move, we would make one more surf. The opponent lets it go. Drill run this time. Once again, does no damage. I don't know what the opponent's doing here. Perhaps he intentionally went for an undercharge there, but we almost got off another serve. Ninetales absolutely melts Escavalier, and now it is 2 shield versus 1 shield Swampert. The opponent should be reaching for this top left. We are going to shield up a Hydro Cannon. Gyarados is ripping through Swampert with the Dragon Breaths alone. We are going to shield up the next Hydro Cannon. Mr. Opponent, would you like to top left? Apparently not. The opponent has 1 Protect Shield remaining. I imagine they are going to shield up this Aqua Tail. The opponent really hoping that we lag out. We do not. And the game is finally going to be over. GG's and thanks for playing. I admire that trainer's commitment, but that was a lost cause. Moving on to the next one. We see Trevadent in the lead. If you're thinking, why am I hand selecting battles where we constantly one lead? Well, these battles are actually in order. We got a longer video today, 3 continuous sets, and you can see that people just constantly disrespect Fire because Fire is a real thing. The opponent answers with Talonflame, and we respond with Lapras. Lapras can tank any one move. The opponent just goes for a Flame Charge. They are at their back-to-back Flame Charges. Jazz can safely shield this up. I imagine we are going to throw 3 Ice Shards and the surf, and of course Jazz's timing is immaculate. This surf is going to knock out or draw the final shield. The opponent does shield it up, but we are going to outpace to the next surf. That is why timing your charge move correctly is important, because we actually win the 1 versus 2 shield. You love to see it. We immediately aggressively swap into our Ninetales. We are going to commit our final Protect Shield. We did lose CMP on the Overheat, but Overheat is going to absolutely vanquish Trevadent. Back to its Pokeball, get fucking wrecked, and in the back, the opponent has Nidoqueen. Both Jazz and the opponent have no Protect Shields remaining, but the opponent goes for a Poison Fang, looking to farm us down, but Ninetales is going to make an Overheat. Even debuff, this is going to do huge damage. Nidoqueen is now in the red. Jazz comes back in to his Lapras. The opponent is going to need to Poison Jab, farm us down. The opponent did try and play to their win con, but Lapras far too thick. GG's and thanks for playing. You can see Jazz goes a perfect 5-0, and not only was it a 5-0, these are the first 5 times he ever used this team and Shadow Ninetales. Moving on to the next one. We lose lead against the Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death. We save switch into Gyarados and we are hard countered with a Charmer. This is a hard counter because obviously they are resisting the Dragon Breaths and we can only hit them with Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail, not the best move. But despite this, we have managed to get this Clefable down into the red, as the opponent did go for the Charm Down, Farm Down. They're now at the Psychic. Jazz choosing to use a Protect Shield. If Talonflame does return, Jazz throws 3 Fire Spins and the Overheat. Once again, this is the correct timing because 3 times 3 is 9 and 2 times 5 is 10. You always want to get the numbers as close as possible. That is the best timing. As you give away the least free amount of turns, the opponent fires the bird at Lapras. Out comes Umbreon. We fire off the Ice Beam on a CMP type. Ice Beam will obviously do more damage, but it didn't really do that much. Let's not kid ourselves. Is Lapras thick enough to survive the foul play? The opponent is on Dark Pulse. That means they now get the snarl down. We are sitting in a really tough spot. I don't really see any win con. Let's see if JasH manages to see something. I'm not seeing. Dark Pulse does big damage to Ninetales. We are absolutely going to have to overheat this Umbreon to take him out. That is going to lower our own attack. We go for the Weather Ball. It's not enough to KO. We are going to shield this up. Can we Fire Spin down before they make another charge move? It looks like we might just get there. We don't get there, so JasH is forced to throw off another Weather Ball on the CMP tie. Weather Ball takes care of Umbreon, and the win con now is going to be to land the Hail Mary. We go straight for the Mary, and boom, Mr. Opponent. They use the shield, and we're going to lose this battle. But very nicely done, JasH. Trying absolutely everything to find a win con, but unfortunately you can't win them all. Moving on to the next one. The Pokegods, not liking our perfect 5-0. We hard lose lead once again, and holy crap, hard countered on the Switch. If you thought Clefable was bad, well, Melmetal is even worse. Thundershock, double super effective, and I don't think Gyarados has any hope in hell of surviving the Rock Slide. We do not. The only chance we would have survived if the opponent undercharged and tried to Fire Spin, farm us down. They didn't do that, and now Lapras is going to have to put the team on its back in the end game. We tank the Rock Slide. Ouch, that hurt. Can we Fire Spin, farm it down before the next one? Holy smokes, we cannot. Things not going our way in this battle. JasH forced to shield. We have the move locked and loaded. We switch out into Lapras. Giratina shits its pants, and it is a Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death. In the back, we are calling just the Flame Charge. The opponent does Flame Charge Lapras. Down shields. Not in the best spot, but let's see what we can do here. Surf is going to definitely draw a shield from the Talonflame. Lapras now getting low on HP. We are forced to shield this Flame Charge. It would knock us out. JasH is going to fire free. And the Surf will either draw the final Protect Shield or knock out. The opponent is now only one Incinerate away from the move, so JasH smartly throws back to back to not take the Incinerate damage. We are going to get off a few Ice Shards against this Giratina. We get off 2. This is so healthy. JasH going straight for the Hail Mary. I think perhaps a Weather Ball into Overheat combination might have done the trick, but Overheat doesn't do enough, and JasH, as always, knows the opponent was at a charge move. Ninetales does survive, and we wouldn't have made the Weather Ball Overheat combination anyway. Moving on to the next one. Holy smokes, their bad leads do continue. We say switch into Gary, and the opponent answers with Obstagoon. Gary has a chance to flip this matchup. Let's see if Obstagoon shields the Aqua Tail. They do not. Obstagoon is farming up a whole boatload of energy. We get to Aqua Tail. Number 2, Obstagoon now forced to commit a Protect Shield. I believe this is 10. I think they're one short of the Hyper Beam. I believe it is 11 for the Hyper Beam. The opponent gets the boost. Holy smokes. Is JasH going to make a play for switch? Yes, he is. Boosted counters are now really chunking. Can we Dragon Breath farm it down? No, we can't. Absolutely brutal. Not only we hard countered in the lead, the opponent gets the boost for the second time in the video. All these goons absolutely going off. We switch out into Lapras. They bring in a Charmer, and then they choose to sacrifice the Giratina. What on earth is going on? I have no idea. They fire off the Ancient Power. Ancient Power doesn't do enough to Lapras. Once again, we aren't shielding this up. It's just a Dragon Claw. JasH over farms now. He's going to fire off the Ice Beam. Does Giratina want to commit the final shield? Yes, they do. The opponent throws on alignment. We sneak the Ice Shard. JasH now has the Ice Beam locked and loaded. Ice Beam going to be more than enough to KO Giratina, and I believe that stupid Charmer is about to get cooked. We switch out into Ninetales. We are low on HP. Do we make the overheat? Yes, we do. This is a healthy Charmer, but will this be enough to knock out? Holy shit. Yes, it is. Very nicely done, JasH. GG's, and thanks for playing. Ninetales looks like a very worthwhile investment, despite us getting pretty hard countered on numerous leads. This entire set, we have lost lead. We save switch into Gary. The opponent answers with a normal type. I'm not sure if it's Dubwall or Greedent. It's actually the little squirrel Greedent. Gary lands the Aqua Tail. Greedent, so bulky, so spammy, fires off the Body Slam. Body Slam, ouch, that hurt. We are going to shield up the next Body Slam. It looks like JasH is making a play for switch. We are over farming heavily. We are looking to get a shield from this Greedent. Do they respect the Aqua Tail? They do not. They're now left super low. JasH can commit his final Protect Shield. We are all shields down, but we have flipped that dreadful opening matchup, and we've got residual energy. Good to go. Back out comes the Giratina, and no baits on this channel. We go straight for the Crunch. Gets us a shield back, and the Dragon Breaths have got this thing down to around 70% HP. The opponent looking to get off some chip damage. They fire off the Shadow Sneak. Interesting. They've got Empoleon in the back. This game is absolutely over. Ninetales with nowhere to run. The opponent fires the Hydro Cannon as soon as they get it. I really don't think there's anything we can do. The Penguin resists everything in Lapras's move pool. And as this is going to be a long drawn out battle, Lapras's move pool for anyone interested. Fast moves, Frost Breath, Ice Shard, Water Gun. All resisted by the Water Steel typing. Lapras's charge moves, Surf, Legacy Ice Beam, Legacy Dragon Pulse, Blizzard and Hydro Pump, and the Penguin resist them all. JasH not wanting to get flexed on, looking to get the final Protect Shield from the opponent. We can't get it. That's pretty much how GBL goes sometimes. You are going to get hard counter City. But moving straight on to the next one. Wow, Ninetales into Talonflame. That's 5 hard loss leads in a row. We say switch into Gary, and the opponent answers with Cresselia. Let's see if JasH can flip this dreadful position that he's found himself in. We land the Crunch. That is helpful. The opponent builds up a whole boatload of energy. Let's see if JasH shields up the first charge move. Yes, he does, and the opponent is on Grass Knot. This is just another Grass Knot. Gyarados will survive. It is only neutral due to our water flying typing, because water takes super effective and flying resist grass. But getting back into it, we fire off the Aqua Tail. That draws a shield from Cresselia. Gyarados makes Aqua Tail. Number 2, does the opponent want to commit both Protect Shields? Yes, they do, and it's on a CMP tie. We have now the perfect opportunity to flip this matchup. We shield the third Grass Knot. The opponent aggressively brings out the Walrus. We bring back out Ninetales, wanting to get some use out of it somewhere. Ice Water take neutral. From fire, we land the Weather Ball. It does a decent amount of chip damage. This Earthquake will probably one-shot. Actually, we survive. Do we make another Weather Ball? Yes, we do. I'm actually going to take it back. Ninetales, you absolute monster. Not only do people not respect fire in the Ultra League, apparently even on the home of Shadow Pokemon, I doubted Shadow K9, and I really shouldn't have. JasH, like a genius, tanks the energy from the Walrus on his Gary, then comes in and commits to the Ice Shard farm down on Lapras. The opponent then makes one of the strangest plays I think I've ever seen, bringing out Cresselia. The opponent must have thought it was a lot healthier. They then realised they're not going to make a Grass Knot. Panic switch into Talonflame. They fire off the Flame Charge. We make Surf. Number 2, Night Sleep Tight, Kentucky Fried, Chicken Bird of Death, and Lapras Ice Shards farms down Cress. Absolutely beautiful win there from JasH. So without being disrespectful, I think this is the difference between legend players and players of lesser ability. JasH realised that he needed to tank the energy on his Gyarados. The opponent let us have free energy on Lapras, and that was all she wrote. Getting into the third and final set, K9 picks up a great lead against the Charmer Primarina. They say switch into the Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death, and Gyarados absolutely feasting. JasH correctly shield up the Brave Bird, fires off the Aqua Tail just before the opponent gets to the next Brave Bird, and Gyarados wins CMP. The opponent has committed both shields. This is enough for a bird, but JasH looking like he wants to save a shield. So the opponent does win switch, but at the cost of 2 shields. We fire spin, farm it down, back out comes Primarina. The Fairy water typing is going to resist fire. Overheat still does huge damage. They're now in the red. Is a debuff Weather Ball enough to knock this thing out? No, it's not. They survive on 1 HP and a Dream, and JasH is going to put all his chips on Lapras. Moonblast takes us out, and in the back it's Excadrill, and the opponent quickly reaches for that top left. GG's and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle, we see a Muck in the lead. Interestingly, this is a Snarl variant of Muck, so they must be a bit weak to Cress or Giratina, as if you're on Poison Jab, Muck, despite its dark poison typing, doesn't have the best Giratina matchup, especially if they're on Dragon Breath. We tank the first Dark Pulse, look to shield the second, and what the heck, Snarl Acid Spray. That is some spicy moveset. We fire off a Weather Ball, Muck doesn't shield it up. We fire off Weather Ball number 2, we lose CMP, but JasH is calling. Another Acid Spray, doesn't knock out. This Weather Ball will knock out or draw its shield back. The opponent just lets go of Muck. JasH, not wanting to give up switch, fires off a blind weather ball. What does it land on? It lands on a Gary for a nice bit of chip damage. We can now bring in our Lapras. This is exactly where you want to be, as in the mirror down shields. That wouldn't be the best matchup. Lapras hitting for neutral with its ice shards. They land the crunch. Lapras shrugs it off. We are going to fire off a Surf. Surf won't knock out, but will leave Gary super low. The opponent chooses to shield it up. We fire off another Surf on a CMP tie. This is just an Aqua Tail. Lapras survives and fires off the Surf. Does the opponent want to commit its final Protect Shield? No, it doesn't. JasH switching instantly into Gary, and it is Crobat. In the back, we've both got a shield apiece. The opponent goes for the Poison Fang. It looks like they are going for the debuff spam. Gary farms up. We reach Aqua Tail. Does Aqua Tail draw the final Protect Shield from the Crobat? We're on 1 HP and a Dream, but we make Aqua Tail number 2. Is this Aqua Tail gonna knock out? No, it's not. But we simultaneously KO, and Lapras is still alive on 1 HP and a Dream. So that means JasH pulls off another impressive victory. Moving on to the next one. K9 into Caesar. The opponent immediately save switch into Gary, and we answer with Lapras. Lapras is going to tank this crunch, no problem whatsoever. It looks like it's another Legacy Dragon Tail Gary. You love to see it. JasH not baiting, goes straight for the Hail Mary. Gyarados shields up the Ice Beam, but we make Ice Beam number 2. Does the opponent want to commit 2 Protect Shields? No, they don't. So we flip switch and get a shield advantage back out. Comes Caesar looking to Bullet Punch, farm it down. They do get the farm down, but the opponent thinks fuck this and concede the match. Moving on to the next one. We lead Shadow K9 into its ice brother from another mother, A9. The opponent immediately save switches into Mewtwo, the armoured variant, and we don't really have a response for this. Confusion, gonna rip apart our Gary. We shield up the Psyshock. Gary farming up, going for an Aqua Tail bait. Does the opponent take the bait? Yes, they do. We now can outpace to the crunch, but is crunch going to be enough to knock out? JasH doesn't actually throw. It looks like we are over farming. We are going to commit both Protect Shields. It looks like JasH is going for another Aqua Tail bait. Does the opponent want to play the 2 shield out? No, they don't. Can we Dragon Breath farm down? Yes, we can. 1 HP and a Dream. The opponent's final Pokemon is Cresselia. Despite being on minimal HP, we still make the crunch. We do get Psycho Cut, farm down, so it looks like we probably had 3 or 4 HP and a Dream, but either way, the Dream was there and it was alive. JasH choosing to bring in Lapras as the Ice Shards do hit Cresselia for neutral. Cresselia switches out, allowing a load of Ninetales to take the Surf, but this is now Farm Town. We bring in the K9, and K9 is about to feast. The opponent can throw whatever they like. We fire off a Weather Ball. Does the opponent want to commit its final Protect Shield? Yes, they do. Mr. Opponent, what are you going to throw? Because K9 is going to shrug it off. It's just the Psyshock. JasH commits to the Fire Spin. Farm down. We are now absolutely loaded. No baits on this channel. This is a healthy crest. Does overheat one shot? Holy smokes. Yes, it does. And that is all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next Bozy Swampert in the lead. Absolutely dreadful for Ninetales. We save switch into Gary. The opponent builds up to the Hydro Cannon. And once again, we are hard countered with a Fairy. We've seen JasH play his way out of Fairies. Previously in the video, we go for an Aqua Tail. We get some lag. The opponent luckily does not get the 3rd shield. We spam out Aqua Tail. Number 2, Togekiss respects it with a shield. Can we make the 3rd? We cannot. We do get farmed all the way down. Ninetales is going to operate as the damage sponge. We tank the Ancient Power. I imagine we commit to the Fire Spin farm down. JasH leaves absolutely loaded. He is spamming out Lapras, and we make the Hydro Cannon catch. JasH playing immense. As always, Hydro Cannon tickles the big thick Lapras. What does the opponent have as their 3rd? It is the Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death, and Lapras is about to go on an absolute tear up. JasH commits his 1st Protect Shield, fires 1 Ice Shard and the Surf. Surf will get Talonflame low or draw the final shield. The opponent lets it go. We're at the next Surf. This is definitely going to knock out, so putting huge pressure on the Talonflame. The opponent shields at low health. They get farmed down, and this game is now absolutely over. This is just a Hydro Cannon, but JasH is going to shield it up. We've already hit the Ice Beam. Ice Beam will get Swampert fairly low. I imagine it's about to be wham bam combo play. Yes, that's exactly what JasH goes for, and the overheat is going to vanquish Swampert back to its Pokeball. GG's and thanks for playing. So you can see yet another perfect 5-0 from JasH. That's 2 5-0s in 3 sets. We did go 2-3 in the middle set, but we did actually lose lead every single battle. So great to be able to see the team come back from some tricky spots. Huge shout out to my factions teammate, Jazz, for the battle submissions. I now definitely need to grind next time Vulpix is in the wild and build this Shadow Canine I've had at Best Buddy for ages. So if you like your battles featured on the channel, check my community tab out, all the information is there. If you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing, and I will see you all in the next one.